Hi guys, Blu-ray Ben here, and today I'm going to do something that I've never done before on my channel. I'm going to show you my horror Blu-ray collection. Uh, just before showing you all my horror Blu-rays, just to let you know that it is only Blu-ray, so many horror films I do have on DVD. So if you're thinking, oh, you've got that film, but you should have this one and things like that, a lot of them I have got on DVD, and I'm only showing the Blu-rays today. I also have to say that I find it quite difficult, when I was taking these off the shelf, decide if some films were classified, as actually horror, because there were quite a few that I wasn't sure about. But in the end, I chose what I sort of classed to be horror. And yeah, I'm going to get straight to it, showing you my movie collection. And yeah, please let me know down below if there are some movies that you think I should definitely have, especially if they're on Blu-ray and I don't have them. And any other comments, I would really like to hear from you, and give this video a thumbs up, help me out a bit, and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't. So, first film, I'm not going to talk too much about them because otherwise this video will be really, really long. It's Drag Me to Hell, which is a really good Sam Raimi film. If you haven't seen this, highly recommend it. Really good fun, and especially on a lower budget film. Really enjoyed that one. Then I haven't actually got this in order. This is the Evil Dead, the remake. I have got the Evil Dead, the original, here somewhere. I did really enjoy the remake, and I'm probably one of the only few that enjoyed it better than the original. That is probably because I only recently, well, last year I watched the original, and then I bought this with it, and I watched this one straight after. I'm sure if I'd have seen the original, when it came back out in the day, I would, liked it a lot more than the remake. But there you go. Talking about remakes, here's another remake which I really do think is better than the original. It's The Hills Have Eyes. Really good film. If you enjoyed the original and you haven't seen the remake, check it out because it is a really, really good remake. Okay, this one's a Catherine Bigelow film. It's Near Dark. This is a horror, but it's more vampire horror. It's not one of the sort of jump scare horrors, but a really good film, and one that I saw when I was young, and ever since I saw it, I've really enjoyed watching this. It's Near Dark. Don't think it really holds up today though. Okay, now I've got, yeah, I should have really put these in order. I've got 28 Days Later, 28 Weeks Later is in there somewhere. Really good zombie film, and obviously a British film, which makes it even better for me, and one film that people should really watch. Zombies, like run at super speed. Okay, so Stephen King adaptation. This is The Mist. This edition actually comes with a black and white version, which is really good to watch in black and white, and one of those films that I just really enjoy. And if you've seen that and you like horror, you really enjoy this, like a creature feature, really sort of scary film. Okay, Gremlins, gotta have this in here, of course, classic Christmas sort of horror, one that I watch every year. Not much more I can say about that. Okay, Sinister. It's a really good film. I haven't seen the second film. I heard quite bad reviews, so I haven't even checked it out. But I did really enjoy the first film, and some of the footage on the sort of recordings that he watches, really scared me. So if you haven't seen that one, check it out. Okay, next one is a really original film, Cabin in the Woods. I was blown away by this movie. I didn't expect it at all. I hadn't seen any of the reviews and things like that. I didn't even watch the trailer. So when I watched it, and it sort of really, it wasn't what I expected at all. Really enjoyed it, Cabin in the Woods. And on the documentary, they said they actually wrote it in one night, the writer, so not a bad night's work. Okay, this one I was actually given to, and I ended up absolutely loving it. Unfriended. I can't remember. I think it's Facebook. I'm not sure but they're talking on a sort of a messenger thing, and someone sort of joins their conversation. They don't know what it is, and then people start dying. But it's really original and really interesting film, and I actually really enjoyed it. Okay, now I got a Japanese classic, Battle Royale. If you've seen this film, it's an amazing film. It's basically the film that started off the Hunger Games. The Hunger Games copied this completely. Really gory, really violent Japanese horror film, but thoroughly enjoyable. And this edition's really nice, the Arrow edition. Okay, another classic, The Exorcist. What more can I say about that? Amazing soundtrack, amazing film, and still holds up today. It can scare anyone who watches it. Amazing film. Ooh, they nearly fell over there. Here it is, 28 Weeks Later. So this is the sequel to the first one, 28 Days Later. I really enjoyed 28 Days Later a lot better than the second film, although the second film is really good. I just think the original is just so that that much more original, and I really enjoyed it. Okay, I didn't realize I had so many zombie movies. World War Z or World War Z. I think the second film's coming out soon, so I can't wait for that. I really enjoyed this. I've seen it 3 or 4 times now, and I know it didn't get amazing reviews at the box office, but I think it's a really good addition to the zombie genre, and can't wait for the sequel. Okay, this is a film that I picked up recently, and I've already seen it twice. It's The Witch. I actually did an explaining video on this because it is a bit strange, but it's one of these love it or hate it films, and I personally really enjoyed it. I thought it was like a really good sort of religious psychological horror, and if you look more into it, it's actually an amazing film. Okay, this is a bit more of a sort of cheesy horror film. This is Krampus. It's like a Christmas horror, and it was actually it's directed by the same guy who directed Trick or Treat, which I don't have on Blu-ray because it's very difficult to find in the UK. I did enjoy it. It's not as good as Trick or Treat, but you know, worth a watch, and especially to watch at Christmas. You know, a different type of film, one that you can always have fun with. Okay, the next one is one of these movies I wasn't sure whether to put it in this section because it is a horror, but it's not a horror. I don't know. It's Frozen, not the Disney film, but you know, one where some kids get stuck up on a ski lift and they're freezing to death, and they have to choose between jumping and getting eaten by wolves or staying put and freezing and starving to death. So it is a horror, but it's not, you know, your typical horror. But highly recommended, and one of these films that really low, really no, but quite low budget movie that really you know, impressed me. Okay, here was another one that I wasn't sure to put it in. It's Sleepy Hollow. It's more of a sort of dark fantasy, but I suppose it is a horror, but it's just not one of the typical horrors that people think about. Really good film, Tim Burton, and yeah, highly recommended, but not really sure if it's horror, if you know what I mean. Okay, this one is definitely a horror. This is John Carpenter's The Thing, an absolutely amazing film. Film that sort of, how do you say, a lot of directors watch this and they sort of use things from it because it was done so well. And yeah, one that I can watch over and over again and never get bored. And Kurt Russell is amazing in this. Okay, another John Carpenter. This is the classic Halloween. Of course, I suppose everyone's already seen this. Great soundtrack, great thrilling horror, and one that I've watched many times. Okay, another John Carpenter one. This is The Fog. I picked this up recently. It is a horror film. It is a bit scary at times, but for me it was very slow. I expected something else. It was just a really slow burn and nothing really seemed to happen for me, so I was a bit disappointed by this film, but it's still worth a watch. I basically picked it up because it was John Carpenter and I enjoy most of his films. Okay, American Psycho in this really beautiful black Amore case. What can I say about this? An amazing film. Christian Bale gives an amazing performance, and one of these, you know, really strange films that you'll stay with you for a long time after watching it. American Psycho. Okay, Alfred Hitchcock, The Birds. This is the 60th or 50th anniversary. This is one of my favorite Hitchcock films. Absolutely amazing. One of these horrors that is just, you know, it's just filmed so well. It really did scare me. You know, I always when I watch it, I put myself in, you know, their position, being attacked by these birds. And it is an old film, and I think it still stands up today, and I really enjoy it. The Birds. Okay, this is a completely different type of horror film. This is more horror gore. This is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've seen this 2 or 3 times. I haven't seen it that many times, but every time I see it, it does shock me. It's you know, one of these really sort of violent horror movies that you hope that never ever happens to you, because what the hell would you do in this situation? But yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I've got to have that in my collection. Okay, next one is Poltergeist, one of these films that I watched from very young and I've seen plenty of times, never get bored with it, and yeah, just an amazing film. And the clown scene, you know, the clown in this, oof, the doll, still scares me today. Okay, next one is Child's Play. I recently picked this up as well. Hadn't seen it, and I don't know why I didn't watch it beforehand. Really enjoyed this. You know, the animatronics that they sort of used with the puppets, done really well. And I've been told that the sequel is just as good. Sorry, my dog's barking. Just as good as, if not better. So I'm going to have to pick up the sequel. Okay, the next one is a Korean film, which if you like horror, you probably know what it is. It's I Saw the Devil, which is a really good sort of revenge horror flick. Very gruesome, very violent, but really good. And highly recommend this if you don't mind watching. If you don't mind reading subtitles. Okay, the next one is another slow burn, a very psychological horror. It's The Babadook. I know this got great reviews when it came out. The first time I watched it, I didn't enjoy it because I wasn't expecting it at all. But then I watched it a second and a third time, and each time I watch it, I enjoy it more. So yeah, The Babadook. Okay, next one is a werewolf film. I think it's probably my only werewolf one. It's an American Werewolf in London. And a great film, and once again, great practical effects, and one that everybody should watch. And it took me years and years to watch this. I don't know why I didn't watch it before. Decided to pick it up and absolutely loved it. Okay, the next one is not your typical horror. I wasn't sure to include it in this or not, but I suppose it is. I suppose it is a sort of a psychological, thrilling horror. It's Green Room, and I really enjoyed this film. It's about a group of people that are sort of caught up in a murder in a sort of a fascist nightclub sort of thing, and they realise that the owners of the nightclub are actually going to kill them to not let them, escape and tell the police, and it sort of turns into a bit of a cluster. I want to say, because I don't know. I don't want to tell them much more because I'm going to spoil it. But Green Room, really enjoyed it, really violent, and yeah, highly recommend that. Okay, here it is, the original Evil Dead. Really enjoyed it. As I said, I actually enjoyed the remake better. Sorry to the die-hard fans out there. Haven't seen the second or the third film, so I'm going to have to watch them. Okay, the next one I picked up is VHS. It's a very strange film, just different sort of clips, different stories, and some of them are better than others. Overall, I didn't really enjoy it. I expected a lot more, but it's still worth a watch. And there are some, as I said, some video sort of clips in there that really do scare you and jump out and, leave you thinking. Okay, so a home invasion movie with a great soundtrack. This is Your Next. I've actually only seen this once. I'm going to rewatch it. Really enjoyed it. I love my home invasion movies, and this is one that's definitely got a bit of a twist. And yeah, thoroughly enjoyed this. Your Next. Okay, this one I actually picked up very, very recently. It's The Possession, but this is the uncut version. I haven't seen the uncut version yet, but I have seen the film twice. Really good film, and one of these films that I think is underrated, and I think it does have a sequel or two, I'm not sure, but I'm only interested in the first one because I've heard bad reviews for the others. So, Possession. Okay, now we're getting some classic horror, James Wan. The Conjuring. This blew me away when I first watched it. One of these movies that is very few movies that I pick up, on release day, but this is one of them. Absolutely loved it. And then I picked up the sequel, which is a really good film, not as good as the original, a bit long for me, but still really enjoyable, and one of these, like old school horrors that you can watch and, really have fun with. Okay, we'll continue with James Wan. I think this is or the second one, I'm not sure anyway. Insidious, so I got Insidious, the first one, Insidious Chapter 2, and very recently picked up, and still haven't seen Insidious Chapter 3. The first two, really enjoyed them, so I can't wait to check out the third movie. It's one of these franchises that I think is done really well, and hopefully the third one will be just as good as the first two. Okay, another classic. This is actually a TV movie, Stephen King's It. Once again, the clowns get the hell out of me when I was young, and I recently picked this up and watched it again. Obviously, it didn't scare me as much as when I was a kid, but yeah, I can understand why this really did scare people when it came out, because it's one of those horror movies that you just don't expect. And yeah, if you watch it as a movie, it is quite long, can get a bit tedious, but it's still good to revisit after watching it as a kid. Okay, another one which I wasn't sure whether to put this in is, I suppose it is a horror, but it's more of a sci-fi horror. It's Prometheus. You haven't seen the Alien films here because I don't have them on Blu-ray, I've got them on DVD. But yeah, not very, very, very scary, especially this edition. I know that the sequel's coming out soon, and that the trailer makes it look a lot scarier, so I can't wait to see that. But yeah, it is a horror film, it's a sci-fi horror, and I personally enjoyed Prometheus, as well as the whole Alien franchise. Okay, next one is a film from Neil Marshall, who's a particular favourite director of mine, and this is the only actually movie I've got on Blu-ray of his, and it's The Descent. Haven't seen the sequel, heard quite good things, so we'll have to check it out, but this is really enjoyable for me. This is tipo, this is like, like the creature features, but you know, from human mutation. And like The Hills Have Eyes. Really enjoyed this. And it's about a group of girls who go sort of, I don't know what the actual name of the sport is, cave rambling, or I don't know, where they go through holes in the ground in caves and from pocket to pocket, and they find some not very nice mutated humans under there. Okay, so this is the first film in a franchise. I have seen the second one, but I don't know now. I haven't seen the third one. This is The Purge, a really original idea. I know they could have done a lot more with it, especially the second film. I think the second film they tried to do more with it, but they still could have done more. They've got to push the boundaries more with this franchise. But yeah, really thoroughly enjoyable horror film. Can't even speak anymore. And one that I recommend anyone watching. And if they enjoy it, well, then go on to watch the sequels. Okay, now we have actually a Spanish film, which is very famous over here. I know that people who love horror, they've probably seen it. It's Los Ojos de Julia, which is Julia's Eyes. And it's a really, really good horror thriller about a woman who's sort of blind, and she's being followed by a man who sort of wants to kill her and her twin sister. And it's just done really well. It's, you know, really on the edge of your seat kind of film, and highly recommended for anyone to watch this. Great Spanish horror film. Okay, and last but not least is another original horror film. It's It Follows. And once again, the first time I watched this, it was okay, but I wasn't expecting it to be what it was, and I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought. I watched it the second time and the third time, and each time I enjoyed it more. I think it's so original and a great idea, and I think they've done it really well. It's one of these horror movies that really makes you think and put yourself in their shoes, thinking, now, what would I do in this situation? Or she should have done this, or she should have done that. Highly recommend this if you haven't seen it, and the soundtrack is really good as well. As follows. So there you go, guys. I know there's a lot of movies out there that people are going to think that I should have. I may have them on DVD, I may not, but give me recommendations down below. I really would appreciate it. And thanks for sticking with me, guys. Take care.